This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come on along and welcome aboard to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle O'Leary here on this Tuesday, November 26th. Hope you're having a great week. If not, hopefully we can get it fired up for you because it's Tuesday, and that means it's a chronic Tuesday. Also, Nick Baumgart from Indiana Rivals, Hoosier.com will be on with us. Looking forward to having a good time. Great show last night out at Yogi's after the game with Todd Leary. Indiana dispatches Louisiana Tech. And we got to have a great time out there last night. Jake's at the wheel, keeping everything on the track. And, of course, the Todd father is here alongside as well. Good morning, sir.
Lots of fun last night. That was a fun show. And talking about it, you know, when the game is a little bit more better of a game, I think it makes our show a little bit better. I hate to give any credit to anybody other than us two gigantic professionals.
Yeah, and not having any technical difficulties sure go a long way.
That didn't hurt. It didn't hurt. Kicking people off 2 or 3 times in the middle of the show doesn't hurt. Not doing that.
But no, absolute fun night out at Yogi's. Of course, the game itself was a tale of two halves. A great first half for Indiana. They just dominated and did pretty much whatever they wanted and needed to do. And then the second half, things kind of went off the rails a little bit. Didn't take care of the ball very well. Didn't do a lot of what they did in the first half to get them in such great position. Archie talked about that in the post-game press conference as well. We'll hear from Archie in a little bit. I'm sure we will, right, Jake? Perfect.
That away, Jake. That away, Jake.
That's right.
Man, a few words.
That's it. Yes. But yeah, a great night, man. It was a fun night. That's the best part about it. Fun. We had so many people joining us. That was a great part. Lots of comments, questions, and just making the whole thing fun.
Yep, the show. Like I said, the show, when the team plays well and we have some good stuff to talk about, it's always more fun to be positive. And that first half was definitely something. We had a bunch of positive stuff to talk about.
Yeah, I wonder what Bill Walton thought about the game.
Man, there's 3 people in the entire world that enjoy Bill Walton, and Jay Billis is one of them apparently, and the other 2 are YouTube buffoons that I have to work with every day, and I don't understand. I mean, there's a punishment that was coming down from above for something I've done, and man, he's making me work with 2 buffoons right now. I know that.
I wish Indiana doesn't play any Pac-10 games, so we won't get any.
Nobody plays any Pac-10 games because it's boring basketball, and it's ridiculous. Look, nobody wants to watch them play football, and nobody wants to watch them play basketball. I mean, what are the Conference of Champions of? I mean, yeah, exactly. Tie-dye shirts and smoking weed.
I think we've got a Jake. Didn't you say you enjoy some Bill Walton, a little Bill Walton in your life?
I do. I do enjoy Bill Walton games. I like the dynamic between him and really whoever he's.
Dave Pasch. It's always Dave Pasch. He's the only guy that can manage Walton in that setting.
Explain it to me.
It's like taking a bear out for a walk.
Explain to me what you like about it. I mean, here, you guys want to.
Dude, I'm off the wall.
Summarize everything he's going to say.
I'm off the wall. I don't care. I think it's hilarious.
His career stats, and that's all he's going to talk about is what he did. You know what he did back in 1947 when he played.
I don't even hear any of that crap. I hear all the other stuff. Funny crap.
It's kind of like a palate cleanser because all of those other games, all the intense games, are right before those Pac-12 games, and then you get the Bill Walton to just cap off everything. And every once in a while, if you can cut through
a palate cleanser, I like that. A palate cleanser.
I'm starting to figure this out. So here's what happens is like all the real entertainment takes place in good games and good broadcasting. And then when you're ready to put yourself to sleep, you listen to Bill Walton and you listen to all the stupidity and everything other than basketball that you get to listen to and talk about. I get it now.
It's like a
There you go.
I
sitcom.
understand it.
It's that palate cleanser. That's a great one, Jake.
It's like the
since
sitcom
I
that
deal
shoulda
with
got-
Leary, I have
it's
to
like
deal
a
with
sit-
Leary all day, so then I get the palate cleanser of Bill Walton.
It's like a sitcom that should have got canceled after the first 2 episodes.
Oh man, a great night for Indiana last night. They get the win. They go to 6-0. That's the first time in 7 years, man. I noticed that they are also now, after that game, they're in a top 25 of KenPom, and they lead the country in free throw efficiency. That is that's saying something for a team that couldn't seem to hit the water from a boat a year or two ago at the free throw line.
Yeah, and it was a point of emphasis. So really, that has to make the coaching staff feel great and the players feel pretty darn good. That we know, we heard him talk about it all the way back in September about this was going to be a team that needed to get to the free throw line and needed to capitalize on doing so. And yeah, I mean, to lead the nation in that at this point is pretty incredible. And that's a huge turnaround. And hopefully it's one of those lessons the guys can learn that when you set a goal and put your mind to something that, it's attainable and it's something that they can accomplish. And if they buy into the system, some big time things can be accomplished.
Trace Jackson Davis, a gigantic part of that, man. He has been drawing and hitting free throws like his life depends on it. Has done another great job. I think it was actually his third career double-double in his first 6 games as a collegian. We'd have to go back and look, but man, that may be a record. We have to go back to George McGinnis days or something.
Yeah, it's probably been a long time since someone got off to that kind of start. But it's really what happens and how he's able to be consistent with that. That's where the true freshmen, that's when the guys who have been the Isaiah Thomases and the Calbert Cheneys and that when you're able to transfer that and go straight into Big Ten play and have that same success, and believe he's done everything he could do up to this point. There isn't anything he hasn't accomplished that would lead you to believe he's not going to continue that. But boy, he's just off to a great start to get that confidence level where you want it to be, and the coaching staff is, I think he's turning into the guy that the team knows they can rely on for a very consistent double-digit scoring and double-digit rebounding, or right around double-digit rebounding. And boy, what a fun thing to be able to say about a freshman, because you don't get to rely on that very often.
Yeah, and I don't want to harp on it too much, but that dunk last night, it was like a coming of age. It's like, dude,
I'm about to be nasty.
I'm here. It's like I am here, and I am here with complete confidence in my game, and I'm going to throw this one down. And the dunk didn't go down, but it was just the audacity to do that as a freshman again shows, man, he's got a set of onions and he's ready to play.
Yeah, he's obviously his confidence level, you can see, has grown, and he knows he's very capable of playing at this level, and not just playing, but being very successful at it. So yeah, I mean, there isn't any way you could draw up. You wouldn't want him to have any different feeling about his game right now than what he's got in these first 6 games. The whomever is in charge of scheduling it can take the criticism, I guess, for it being a fairly easy schedule, but for it to get the confidence level where these younger guys needed it to be, everything has worked out, I think, just the way the coaching staff would have planned.
Absolutely. They've got things heading in the direction that they need to go, but they're not there yet. They've got to put together a complete game. They've got to play both halves with equal fervor, with equal success, equal efficiency. The second half we saw last night, I don't know if it was just having that big 23-point lead that they squeezed up out in the first half and just thought that they could get away from what they had been doing so successfully. But Archie talked about it. They didn't take care of the ball at all. They turned the ball over the first 2 possessions coming out of the half. That's not a good sign.
Yeah, it's not. And here's the difference. I think here's my opinion of what I saw in that is that those guys, when they came out, I mean, the game plan was to run the ball down the court as quick as possible. And, the first 3 baskets for Indiana were all layups right down the lane. I mean, Al Durham driving down the lane and Armand Franklin driving right down the lane and getting to the rim and laying it in. And there's no way the shot clock got to 10 seconds on all 3 of those first possessions. And Indiana got off to a great start with that. And in that second half, the majority of the turnovers were in half court. It wasn't, kind of like the old Tom Crean era days when they're dribbling so fast down the floor they just dribble straight out of bounds or fall on their face. And these were half court turnovers, which maybe the game plan needed to be start the second half just as aggressively as we started the first half, because I really think they tried to. I don't want to say they tried to slow it down, but I don't think the emphasis was on pushing the ball and getting those easy baskets. And we talked about it prior to the game, and their stats show it, that Louisiana Tech's a team that in the half court, they try to turn you over. And they're pretty successful at doing it, averaging 18 turnovers a game. And they got Indiana right to that point. And Indiana had 6 turnovers at half, playing really fast. And then when I thought they slowed down a little bit in the second half, they had a lot more turnovers. And, I've always been a guy who said you can't turn it over if you shoot it. And, the more passes you sit over there and make, I know everyone always seemed to think Coach Knight had this, you have to make 4 passes in his offense, but that's really not true. And the first good open shot that we took that you didn't take, Coach Knight would be on your butt just as bad for not taking that shot as he would, a bad pass or a bad turnover or missing a guy that was open. So I do believe Indiana is a better team when they're trying to get those easy baskets and pushing the ball.
Was Bob Knight like a scientist at his craft? Is that?
Yeah, he was just. His preparation was unlike. He was. I think Tom Brady. I don't want to say he was like Tom Brady. I want to say Tom Brady is more like him, and Bill Belichick is more like him, because I think they value so much what you put into it going into the game, and there's not one detail that has not been. I don't just want to say talked about and discussed, but beat into your head ad nauseum, and it is just. We would watch the same film over and over and over and over again. And people, there's no way they could understand. And I'm talking Louisiana Tech or Michigan or whatever team you were getting ready to play. The amount of videotape and stuff that that's how old I am. I call it videotape because that's what it was back then. But the amount of tape that we watched and plays, and we would watch the exact same thing over and over again. And that's where I think Coach Knight was the best that there'll ever be at that. Because we knew everything that was going to happen. We knew every play that was going to take place. And, he was a genius and a master when it came to going into a game. And, the detail side of it, this is where I get frustrated as a Bob Knight guy, is the detail side of the offense is what frustrates me. And we ran the motion offense, and every team in the country could tell you exactly what we were going to do in every single game. Every single game. We didn't hardly ever draw anything up that would have gotten away from that.
But they couldn't stop it.
The defense was, our details were, the difference was our defense was, sorry, slow it down here. The difference was that our attention to detail, and that means our screens were really good. Our cuts were very sharp. We had to set everything up. You had to do things to the level that he expected, and that meant everything being perfect. And if you didn't set up a cut, meaning get your guy to cut with you just a little bit, so when that screen came, it came at a certain angle, every single thing was practiced. And man, I tell you what, those are the worst practices in the world. The 5-on-0 practices, that's the worst part of practice, when you're out there and you've got to run the play, and the play is not really a play. It's just the motion offense, but there's no defense, so there's no one to read the screen or read what the defense is doing. It's just a matter of you setting up your cuts. It's like I use Tom Brady and the Patriots a bunch in this, but when a guy runs a route, he's supposed to run 7.5 steps and, either cut to the sideline or cut to the center of the field. And that's exactly what we were supposed to do. You're supposed to set your cut up, 2 solid hard steps one direction. That way, when the screen comes, it's hitting a guy at a certain angle. And that's what we were so good at. And that's what, there's very few teams that do that anymore. And if you watch the screening on this IU team, and I'm just singling them out because obviously we watch them closer than most teams, but you watch any team nowadays, the screening is just terrible. Like, no one pays attention to detail and sets good, solid screens. And when someone does, it's a team like Virginia who values that a bunch and values every possession. And, it's a different brand of basketball today. And it's just not, they don't quite have the same attention to detail.
Absolutely. Tom Crean took did I tell you this last night? He took, in his effort to create positionless basketball, his entire roster on the media guy or whatever they put it out. Next to their player, instead of a position, there is a B for basketball player. Not center, not guard, not forward, just a B. All of them, every one of them.
Yeah, well.
I just wanted to point out that little ridiculous one thing. And Tim says today that whatever Todd says today, he's wrong. So
What?
Yes.
No, that's not true.
I swear to God, I swear to God. Jake, yep, I'm not lying.
Somebody has hacked his account. Somebody.
He
let
did
him know.
apologize. He did apologize. Says sorry, Todd, and he also then your favorite thing, he gave me about about 10 items of Bill Walton bio.
Isms.
Yes. Oh, no. Bill Walton, a bio. NBA MVP 77, MVP 78, two-time NBA All-Star.
You will never hear me say Bill Walton wasn't a great player and accomplished some things that no one else will accomplish. And I would love to be able to just give him all the accolades for that. Unfortunately, someone made a terrible mistake, and he must have naked pictures of someone from ESPN that's a high-level executive doing something he shouldn't be doing, because there's no way that dude should be on TV.
Man, is there a Bill Walton game on this weekend? They're in Maui, right? Is he not doing Maui games?
Yes, he will be, and I will be watching it. He'll be doing the crap games, though.
I'm going to
they don't let him do the good
record
games.
those and just send them to you. I'm just going to email them to you and just feed them to you. Maybe I should get Jake to play some Bill Walton on the show. Hey, man, we got a lot coming up here on the program today. Nick Baumgart's going to join us next. Later on, we got Chronic Hoosier because it's a Chronic Tuesday. But, of course, we got the Todd Father. It's all that matters, right? That's all that matters. Tim, you and I just became rivals all of a sudden, buddy. We got a lot more coming up here on the program. Coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. We're back with all that and more right after this.
I've been learning how to write. My whole life has been one big fight. Born on the bad side.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make it tea time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is former IU basketball player Derek Elson. Follow the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat Radio.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Hey, little sister, who's your Superman? Hey, little sister, shotgun. It's a nice day to start again.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Coyle Leary here on this Tuesday. Of course, joined now by our good friend Nick Baumgart from Indiana Rivals, Hoosier.com. Nicholas, how are you?
Man.
Todd Leary, the Todd Father's here with us as well.
Good
What's up,
morning,
Todd
sir.
Father?
Hey, buddy, how are you? Hey, you don't have to call me that. I
Good.
only make him call me that.
I like it. I'm a big nicknames guy.
Yeah, I am too. But I like to develop it. I don't want to use some dingbat that likes Bill Walton. I don't want to use his nicknames he gives people.
I feel you.
I don't even know who I'm talking to right now. Anyway, Nick Baumgart joining us. Indiana Rivals last night. Indiana Hoosiers took on Louisiana Tech in a game that was a tale of two halves, as we've said. The first half, Indiana looked pretty good. Second half, not so much, but they hold on to get the win to go 6-0. Not how it was drawn up, Nick, but great first half for Indiana.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. You know, it was one of those games where if you're watching it with somebody, you were kind of like looking at each other like, are they for real? Like, is this really, like, it was kind of blowing you away. And, you know, and then it was kind of like you said, tale of two halves. Second half, you're looking at the person going, are they for real? Is this really happening? You know, I mean, it was like, you know, just goes to show you what turnovers do to an offense. It just kills it.
What was the difference from your vantage point between the first and second halves regarding turnovers? Indiana, coming into the game, we knew Louisiana Tech liked to turn people over. They averaged like 18 a game. But Indiana, 6 turnovers in the first half, but that ballooned in the second half. What were they doing different?
Well, I just feel like they were silly turnovers. I don't know, Todd. You help me out here if you disagree, but I mean, I just thought they were silly. I thought they were very like avoidable things. They were, you know, it wasn't about I went through actually, and because somebody had said, well, I think it was, you know, did the tempo get to them? And so I went through and I looked at, you know, all the possessions for all 18 turnovers, and you know, there was nothing there as far as the tempo goes. And I've watched a little bit of the film, and it's just, you know, throwing passes into places that there's no chance of, you know. Devontae Green's good for that once or twice a game. As good as he's played, you know, it's just his little thing. You know, he tries to make that perfect play, and you know, and like so Durham came out in the second half, and you know, there was like 2 silly little like passes to Brunk that I don't know, miscommunication or what, but you know, it's just I think avoidable things. I mean, it's just, you know, positive.
Yeah, Nick, I agree with you. Nick, I thought in watching it. I didn't think the pace had anything to do with it. I thought it was exactly the opposite. Most of the turnovers in that second half were, you know, trying to feed the ball in the post or feed a cutter that it really wasn't open, and guys trying to dribble through 2 defenders. And I know trying to split a double team that came down on the post, and just some things that you know, you're right. They're correctable. They're avoidable. You know, I don't know if maybe they got a little bit too comfortable in the game, but the first half, when they pushed the pace, you know, that's when they turned it over the least, and that's when they made the fewest amount of mistakes. And you know, a lot of people think that you know, push it. The faster you go, the more prone you are to turn it over, and that's not always the case. I mean, in half court, you know, if you go down the floor really fast and you get the defense out of position, and you only have to throw 1 or 2 passes, and you get an open look, you know, you don't have much of a chance to turn it over. But when you run a half court offense and you pass it 7 times and run 3 ball screens, and you know, there's just a lot more opportunity to turn it over, and you got to complete a lot more good passes. And I thought the first half they have missed. I thought this every game so far. Of course, I watched this side of it Indiana feeding the post, or not just the post. I'm old school, so I call it feeding the post, but just getting the ball inside into the lane to guys that are open. That's, to me, probably the thing they're the worst at. And they don't see open cutters, and they don't see guys before the play develops. And sometimes the passes are just too late, and sometimes the passes don't happen at all. And I kind of got the feeling that maybe they discussed that at halftime, because there were some open guys in the first half that they missed for sure. And then in the second half, it almost seemed like they'd taken themselves out of their game, trying to throw it in there. And they were just throwing it to guys that, one, weren't open, and two, once the guy caught it, he, like you said, he was just in a bad position, didn't have anything to do with it.
And one other thing. Oh, sorry, Jim.
Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say one other thing is I don't think you can discount that basketball is a game of rhythm. And, this team is good in transitioning and getting in, especially like Devontae, getting in a rhythm. And, in the second half, it kind of, like you said, the ball kind of stopped, and it just, everything was slow and sluggish, and they started turning it over. And I think it was a combination of things, and I think the rhythm, though, for this team is important. I think it's.
Any numbers stand out to you last night? Indiana now is, I think they're number one in the country at free throw efficiency. So that's a pretty big turnaround for a team that couldn't hit free throws a year or two ago.
How about Trace Jackson Davis averaging 15 points on just 17.5% of shots?
There you go.
An incredibly low number. I mean, if you think Carson Edwards, he took like 36% of produced shots last year or whatever. So I think that's pretty incredible.
Pretty efficient.
It is incredible. And that's one of the first things I always look at is whenever you see, maybe not the leading scorer, but just the guys who have a lot of points, the first thing I go to is look and see how many shots they took. And, when you see a guy like that that's shooting, 7 to 10 times and coming out with 15 plus points, the efficiency rating is going to be high. And he's capitalizing on the free throw line. He started the game out 9 for 9 again. This kid has just exceeded. There was high expectations for him, but I certainly think he's exceeded them.
Absolutely, and if he could get the other pieces around him to fall into place, this team could have a pretty successful season.
I don't know if it's. Yeah, no, I think so. I mean, I'm very bullish on him. I mean, the defense is. Archie was lamenting on that after the game. He was just really hard on his defense. He just said it's not a Big Ten defense, and this and that. So I mean, that was a good win last night. I would have liked to have seen this win happen about game 3, game 4. If that's like another little test here before Florida State is in a week. That's scary. And I was looking at the calendar, and Finney, he expects Finney to be back by middle of next week. So I guess he could miss the Florida State game. I don't know.
Yeah,
we'll see if he comes back.
Yeah, I kind of heard that same time frame from them, but who knows? I mean, that's maybe with that much rest. I mean, what's the difference whether he comes back Wednesday or Thursday? Versus the game on Tuesday. I probably expect him. I think that's probably why he's sitting this out. I expect him to. If any opportunity for him to play at all, I expect him to be out there.
I couldn't imagine him missing that game.
Yeah, either.
Indiana taking on South Dakota State Saturday, 4:00. Of course, we'll be at Yogi's afterwards for after the game with Todd Leary. But then that big game, that first big test of the season comes that following Tuesday when the Seminoles come into town. And you thought that last night's game was late, Todd. 9:00 tip off for Florida State, my brother.
Yeah, I know it. I'm not a huge fan. As a player, you were never a fan of those later games, and I know my coach at that time.
Didn't he love those 9:00 road games?
Oh man, you tell you what. The bad part is it just put him in a bad mood, and who's he got to take that out on, and so it just like everything about those sucked as a player.
Yeah, it does. I mean, you can't if you're on the road. My God,
yeah, think about that. Think about going on the road, because you know what that does is
even on a private plane. You guys are on a private plane or a charter. It's still you're getting home at 4 or 5 in the morning. A lot of times,
and truly, that's not the worst part of it. The worst part is sitting in the hotel all day, because the coaches know that, and so they come up with something for us to do. So those late games, we would always have a shoot around at like 9 a.m, which meant you had to get up and eat at like 7:30, and then you know, after that we'd come back and watch film, and then we would maybe go take a nap for 2 hours and then come back and eat lunch and watch film, and then we would come back for a pregame meal and watch film, and it's just so many different time for the coach to sit there and dream up something to be mad about, and that's never a good situation for us.
That didn't take much, did it?
It did not.
It did not, especially with a 9:00 game. That's what we're looking at on Florida State on Tuesday. But Indiana looked good last night with the 8:30 tip. Didn't matter what time it was. They played well in the first half, and I don't know that they ran out of gas, but it wasn't that so much as they got away from what they're doing. What is it about a team? I know it's happened to you on teams you've been on, but what is it about when you're doing something and you're successful at it, and then all of a sudden you go away from that? People see it all the time. They're like, why did they stop feeding the post? Or why did they stop doing this? And you always shake your head because you're like, dude, that was working. And it's like, are they trying to go to another level and they just get away with what they're doing? Or what is the reasoning?
Well, I think at some point you've got to give other teams and coaching staffs and players a little bit of credit in saying, hey, well, I think that they figured out pretty quickly Indiana wasn't going to walk the ball down the floor and try to score in half-court offense. And so I'm sure at halftime, heck, they took a timeout, 2 or 3 minutes into the game, 3 easy layups into the game, and they took a timeout. So, Louisiana Tech, I made some adjustments. I know that they were definitely trying to stop the ball as soon as it was either rebounded or inbounded. They were just trying to slow the ball down because it was going down the floor faster than I think they expected it to. And, at some point, I think you have to give the other teams a little credit for making adjustments. But I will also say, coming out in that second half, I think what was talked about at halftime probably had more to do with stuff involving the half court because they had so much success in transition. And I don't necessarily know they just got away from it, other than I think the focus was probably not on pushing the ball, because they definitely weren't at the same pace to start that second half as they were the ball game.
Nick, what do you got coming out? I know you got a piece coming out for Indiana Rivals, Hoosier.com.
Yeah, well, I have my breakdown piece, and we're going to do a little video. It went over pretty well, looking at the new offense.
You're wearing your clothes in this video, I hope.
Oh, always. I'm not even put my face on there. That way, people don't even have to get scared. It's just nice. Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
No,
what in the breakdown? What did you find in the breakdown?
Well, just in the breakdown, just looking at, where things went off track and kind of why, and, we kind of saw obviously the big start and they got out to, but it was still, in the second half, they got the lead, they grew it back out to 19. Basketball is a game of runs. And so it's kind of interesting when you start breaking it down by possessions. And you kind of start seeing trends, and there were several runs. There was obviously the big run to start the game with IU, and then they went on that 12-0 run, got up by 23. And, they got outplayed. Actually, the last 27 minutes, they got beat by 10 points, which is kind of interesting to think about. So, just pointing out stuff like that. And, just kind of the different turnover. They lost their mind. It really was possessions 39 through 52, where that was, I want to say there's like 13. No, there was 16 possessions, 39 through 54, 16 possessions, and they had 9 turnovers, 9 of their 18. And so, in the other 70 possessions, you had 9 turnovers. So, really was that one stretch there where they just kind of lost their mind. And so that's why, it's discouraging from the fact that you can get beat with that. But at the same time, it's like, well, for most of the game, they were fine. For the whole season, they've been fine. But it only takes one little stretch, in a big game against Wisconsin or something to.
Yeah. And Nick, right along with that, if those 13 possessions had been to start the ball game, Louisiana Tech is a team that would have had you down, and they would have had them down, 10 or 12 points to start the game. And then the whole dynamic of that game changes. And Indiana, at that point, it's very hard to rebound and come back from that and put yourself in a position that they were. So that's where I do think you have to give Indiana some credit. I mean, they came out ready to play. If they hadn't, I think we'd all be talking about, well, the coaches didn't have them ready to play. And so that's obviously not the case. They came out on fire and were ready to play and played great and executed terrific. And so I look at that as a positive. Correcting the lulls, correcting those possessions you're talking about, I look at as the easier part. Then if they came out and weren't ready to play, that's an issue.
Absolutely. Nick, we appreciate you being on this, man. I hope you and your family have a happy Thanksgiving, as it's Thanksgiving week.
There's no Thanksgiving in college basketball. That's Archie Millerism.
Yeah, we'll see you on Saturday. So enjoy the turkey.
Said last night. Anyways,
enjoy your turkey.
See you, Jimmy. Okay, bye, Todd.
See you, bud.
Happy Thanksgiving, guys.
As do you well. Nick Baumgart from Indiana Rivals joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Tim asked a question. He says he thinks Deron Davis's problem is that IU's game is too fast for him, and he seems lost when he gets on the floor.
Yeah, I've muted Tim from my questions. I mean,
Tim, don't worry, my brother. You're still in my good graces. I'm still appreciating you. We don't worry about him. Hey, we got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. We'll be back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
All right, all you Hoosiers out there, make sure you listen to my main man when it's time to talk about Indiana sports. Jim Coyle. All right.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville.
Win for our team. Looking on the schedule as we scheduled our non-conference, Louisiana Tech really commanded a lot of our respect, and they have a good program. They win a ton of games. They had a lot of experience, and feel like they're going to have a terrific season. So, this is one, regardless of how you feel, you played. We won the game, and down a few months from right now, this will be one that is more valuable than hopefully most people realize. For our team, I thought we got off to a really good start. Our guards did a really good job early in the game of attacking in transition. Thought they made the game pretty easy early, and we were able to build a comfortable lead. Towards the end of the first half, we got very sloppy, transition defense-wise, defense in general. And, I thought at the end of the first half we didn't play as well. But at halftime, 10 assists, 52 points, and did a decent job there for the most part to have a lead. Second half, embarrassing really how we took care of the ball. And I think it started very quickly in our first possession. When you turn the ball over coming out of halftime, you're not able to get a shot, messes you up. And it's the types of turnovers that we had really weren't very good. And it hurt us all half. We weren't able to really get a hold of it. We weren't able to really play the game the right way in terms of how we moved it, shared it, free-flowing. It just became a dribble fest, a turnover fest, and there wasn't a whole lot of people, in my opinion, in sync. So it was hard to really play the second half based on that. We made free throws.
Hard to watch the second half, I can tell you that. Welcome
Bingo.
back. Yeah, welcome back to Coyle and Larry here on this Tuesday, November 26th. There was Archie Miller, Indiana's head coach, talking about last night's win over Louisiana Tech. A great first half by the Hoosiers, and then things just kind of became a science fiction novel after that. I don't know what was going on, but it just got kind of weird. But a great night for Trace Jackson Davis. He had his third double-double of his collegiate career. He's only played 6 games, so that's a pretty damn good sign there. He is just his poise as a freshman. I can't overstate it, and it's something you don't see a lot. And it's infectious. I think that's something that will become infectious on this team because confidence, there's no more dangerous drug than confidence, man. And when that starts spreading, you give a team confidence and they can do things that maybe sometimes they're not really capable of, but they do them anyway.
Yeah, and that's exactly the scenario last night. I think if Louisiana Tech had gained any confidence coming into that basketball game or at the start of the game, it could have very easily been a different result. And, you heard Archie say right there, and I know I truly feel the same way. I mean, that team is a team that win is going to look a lot better, 25 games into the season than it does today, because that's a team that's going to beat some people and play pretty well. And Indiana just smacked them right in the mouth. And right when the game started, you could not ask for a better start. And I don't just mean knocking down shots and all that. I mean, defensively, they were making it very difficult on Louisiana Tech. And you jump out to a 39-16 lead, you're doing a lot of things right. And, that's the part of the game that you can focus on from a serious positive. They were ready to play. They were prepared. And they executed as well as I think you could ask them to. And that's a great start. And, to be able to build off of that, how many teams have we seen in Indiana where we're like, oh, my gosh, what is wrong with this team? They just can't get off to a good start. They put themselves in such a bad hole to start every ball game. It's an uphill battle. And, let's take the good with the bad right now, and let's take that good part of it and build off of it. They got off to a great start, which means in my world they were prepared properly and they were ready to play. And that's a huge factor in college basketball.
Absolutely. Roger from Evansville listening says MSU went down last night. Third time their number 3 rating is disappearing fast. Yes, it certainly is, but that's easy to do in the preseason, but early season. But we always see too many times Tom Izzo teams, they may not play well in November, but look out in March. We'll see if they can get that because they've got a great player in Cassius Winston. He did not have a good game last night at all. 0 points in the first half, 7 for the second half. That's not player of the year numbers.
Yeah, I mean, he's he's just a special player. I mean, he's fun to watch. If you're a true basketball fan, Cassius Winston's a fun player to watch play. And, I truly believe that's a great example, in my opinion. I think Tom Izzo would have echoed this prior to the season even starting, that, the people that are doing those rankings, they're watching it from afar, and they're not in the daily workouts and practices. I don't think Michigan State was anywhere near the best team in the country on paper to start the year, and how they were rated that high. I think they're a top 15 team, probably, even still after both losses, but they weren't the number one team in the country. And I think Tom Izzo would echo those statements. And, they can't have a Cassius Winston with 0 points at half and expect to be in the ballgame. That's exactly what happened last night. They dug too deep a hole to be able to come back.
Absolutely. Arkansas is a team that we have not talked about much. They're undefeated right now, and they're on the schedule for Indiana later on in December. That's another one of those games that we've kind of forgotten about it. As we've talked about Notre Dame, of course, and you got Florida State coming up next, and the UConn game up in New York. But Arkansas is a game that's kind of lingering there. A game that Indiana let get away last year when they went down to Fayetteville, or was that the year before last? When they went down to Fayetteville. But looking to get that game back.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like that was last year on that little short, on that tip in that Deron Davis missed. Wasn't that Deron Davis missed a little short tip in that would have won the game right in the last couple of seconds? But yeah, I mean, that's a game that I think Arkansas was I felt like they were a little bit more hyped up at that point. I thought they were a team that Indiana would have struggled to beat on the road like that, and they did, and they obviously lost the ball game. This should be a different scenario. I mean, they're coming here. I think that's probably why people don't look at it as big a task for them to complete. And this is a different team, and so you're right. When it gets closer to that time, right, around that Notre Dame game, the 21st of December, we'll start looking at that Arkansas team and see where they are at that point, and that'll be a big game for them. It'll be a great test right before. It's just almost like another Big Ten game that. Early. I mean, that as soon as January gets here, we're knee deep in Big Ten basketball.
And speaking of Big Ten basketball, Jack Nunge, who's from Newburgh, our listeners out in Evansville, Newburgh's right there by Evansville, but Jack
I'm driving
Nunge,
to Newburgh right now. Jack
Nunge is a player that got away from Indiana. He's a big 6'11" dude that went to Iowa. Played for Fran McCaffrey. Stands out there and knocks down 3-pointers. I think he redshirted last year, but just tore his ACL, and he's lost for the season. So bad deal for him, man. We hate
Horrible.
to hear that, but
horrible.
Hate to see that. But
especially when you've got a kid that when you've worked all season, those injuries are just. I mean, they're heartbreaking and devastating. And I don't. I know he's from Indiana, so obviously we root for him. A little bit more than the average kid. But man, just. What a terrible, terrible thing for a kid to work all summer long and work that hard and then have it just all taken away. I mean, obviously Pat Graham had that scenario a couple different seasons and just heartbreaking. The whole team just it's devastating to a team to see an injury like that. And I know a lot of people talk about the Alan Henderson injury a long time ago and how that affected our team. And that was later in the year. And yes, we were already kind of established at what our team was like at that point. But this early in the season to lose a kid like that, it's heartbreaking. I hate that for all the kids.
And what does it do to your psyche? This is going to be 2 years. He's coming off of a redshirt season on top of that. So he sat out all of last season. Now he's going to be sitting out this season as well. That's got to just suck to miss 2 years.
Suck is the only way to describe it because it is – the redshirt season as a player, as a person who loves to play and loves the games and loves the competition and all that. I mean, yes, it is the right thing to do for a lot of people. I was a redshirt. Bob Knight loved using the redshirt year to let guys, physically develop and grow. And I think Coach Knight was fantastic in the way that he used that. But as the player, it sucks. Like it is awful. And you practice just as hard as everyone else. And you actually practice way harder because, at the end of practice, the guys are resting up and, trying to get ready for a game. And they're sending you down to the weight room to get extra weight room workout in. And it's just, there is nothing positive or fun about, I shouldn't say that. There's some huge positives, but they're more long-term positives. At the time, that redshirt year sucks. So, to have an injury right after your redshirt year, boy, you can't draw up a worst case scenario for a player.
You know, if you want to send in a comment or question, just hit us up on the text line, 812-269-6367.
We will block all texts or questions about Bill Walton.
812-269-6367. Here's one in from Tim. I don't get this first one. Can you bring the mop lady back? She's back, man, as far as I know. But this is one you'll like. Todd was my all-time favorite three-point shooter at 44.5%.
He's trying to kiss up to me now.
I'm telling you.
He's
not working,
lost
Tim.
me. He's lost me on the whole Bill Walton thing. I mean, you can't be a Todd Leary and a Bill Walton fan. It's just the two things don't go together.
That's okay. I'll
teasing him.
I'll take both people in my camp.
Yeah, I'm just teasing him.
I need a few in my camp.
I mean, hey, this team could use some 40+% 3-point shooters. I mean, that's I say it all the time, but when you think about our team back then, I mean, not only did I shoot over 40%, but Pat Graham and Greg Graham and Brian Evans and Calbert Cheney, Eric Anderson, all of us shot over 40% from the 3-point line. And, think about now, granted, I'm the first one to admit they moved the 3-point line back. I don't think that would have been a big a factor where it was last year. Now where they've moved it back to, I think percentage-wise that'll be a factor, and I think that's why you're seeing some teams shoot a lower percentage than what it's been in the past.
Yeah, and we have seen Indiana keep their for the most part this season. We've seen them keep their 3-point attempts down to a moderate level. I think it got back up there last night, though. But
6 and 19, something like that.
Yeah, that's when they were shooting 10, 11, 12 a game, that was kind of a nice number to me for what their percentage is right now until they get in there and show that they can hit that shot with a relative consistency of at least 40%.
I want to see 5 or 6 attempts a game out of Devontae Green. I mean, he's the guy that should be shooting it from the 3-point line quite a bit. You should see 3 or 4 attempts from Al Durham per game. I think Finney will see 3 or 4 attempts per game. If they don't get to 15 or 20 attempts, I'm telling you, it's going to be hard to win, more than half of your Big Ten basketball games without making, 8, 9, 10 3-pointers. And I truly believe that's the case.
And that's exactly what you got last night. Devontae Green put up 5. He hit 3. Al Durham put up 4. He only hit 1. And Franklin, he put up 3, and he didn't hit any of those. Both him and Justin Smith 0 for 5 from behind the line. But actually add Jerome Hunter to that. There's 7. 0 for 7 between those 3.
Yeah, and those, Jerome Hunter, his percentage, I forgot to look it up before we started, but I know we were talking last night in the post-game show about the percentage of Justin Smith, and I don't think Hunter's is a whole lot higher. So, those two guys' 3-point attempts, I mean, those are almost like turnovers to me, to be honest with you. I mean, a guy that shoots 20%, firing up 2 3-pointers in a game, I mean, unless they're desperation threes where the shot clock is literally running down, which they weren't, those are almost like turnovers.
Justin,
they're definitely great offensive rebound opportunities.
Yeah, I don't have the season numbers in front of me, but if I had to guess, I'd say Jerome Hunter's probably in around the 20% range.
Yeah, he's 20 to 25.
He's at exactly 20%, and Justin is at 33.3%.
Yeah. Well, Smith's a little higher than I thought, even though that's still not good enough. But Jerome Hunter, that shot's not.
Okay? So who's our best 2 offensive rebounders? Who's Indiana's best 2 offensive rebounders?
Offensive rebounding?
Yeah, I mean, just off your head, like who would you say would be?
I would assume Trey Jackson-Davis would be 1, and maybe Joey Brunk 2.
Justin Smith wouldn't be up there. I mean, Justin Smith wouldn't be.
Should be.
No, that's what I'm saying. I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like Justin Smith and
he
Trey
should be number 1.
They should be our number 1. Agree. And so a little bit difficult to offensive rebound when you're checking 3-pointers up. And play to your strengths and play to what you're going to be. You have the best opportunity to be successful at. And I want him under the basket, waiting to rebound somebody's missed 3-pointer. And if he's standing out there shooting it, I don't see that happening.
Tim agrees with you.
I love you, Tim.
You can't get it all back at once, Tim. I promise you. You just got to keep chipping away at it, man.
Man, I hold a grudge like nobody. I learned from the best as far as holding a grudge. So
trust me, Tim. Just keep chipping away at it.
It'll be a couple seasons.
A couple of seasons. Man, we got a lot more coming up here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. We've got Chronic Hoosier in the next hour. Plenty to get to. Lots more to talk about. Soccer, we've got to talk a little bit of soccer. But, of course, it's bucket week, man. We've got to talk some football. Indiana taking on the Boilermakers Saturday up in West Lafayette. That's like a hellhole up there. I have to be honest.
Does it just stink once you get north of, like, Frankfurt? There's just a smell that just starts to come into your – it's just awful. I mean, the whole area up there just stinks. I just don't – I swear to you, it's the case. And like, I love to travel around to places and play golf, and they have a fantastic golf course. There's no question about that. But man, have you ever been there when the weather was nice? Like, I swear, I think there's just a dark cloud over the top of that place.
I can't disagree with you, man. I think you may be right. But we'll talk about all that and more when we come back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary right here from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this.
Let it roll, baby, roll. Let it roll all night long. Do it, Robbie, do it.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett. Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle and Leary. Hope you're having a great day on this Tuesday, November 26th, because I'm not. I'm dealing with Todd Leary. I'm just kidding.
You're welcome.
It's great day. I hope you're all having a good one. We appreciate everybody. Nick Baumgart was on with us earlier. We got Chronic Hoosier here in a little bit. Jake's at the wheel keeping things on the track for us. Man, this is going to be a short week.
Was I supposed to jump in there and tell you that everything you've said so far has been a bunch of BS? Is that what the pause was for?
I'm sorry. Was somebody talking?
Oh, I'm not on mute? Dang it. I thought I was muted. I was talking trash while I was muted.
Man, I'm going to have to get my own mute button so I can control what's going on.
Yeah.
Hey, are we doing a show Thursday? We're going to plan on the air what we're doing. You know, it's Thanksgiving, right?
You talking to me? I'll do whatever you want to do, brother. It's your show.
It's a Thanksgiving week. Hope everybody's got big plans. The weather, man, I think the weather's going to get a little choppy maybe. See how that turns out. Hopefully not. Hopefully everyone has safe travels this weekend and get to go where they're needing to get to. I know a lot of people travel over the Thanksgiving holiday. Be safe. Drive slow. Don't get a ticket. All that business. None of that stuff's ever any fun.
Nope.
I mean, I was surprised at the turnout last night at Assembly Hall. Very good crowd because the students are all gone. There's no students in town, and it was a pretty decent crowd.
Yeah, most polite crowd, college basketball, that's for sure. I mean, Indiana, it's funny when Chuck Crabb always says, "Welcome our visitors from University of Louisiana Tech." I mean, there's an actual ovation. The crowd actually stands up and kind of applauds for them. When the students aren't there and those seats get filled with actual basketball fans, it's just kind of funny. And I'm not making fun of it. Indiana fans are as knowledgeable as it gets when it comes to good basketball. And when Archie called that timeout to start the second half last night, I think there was about 8,000 fans sitting in the seats that were also calling that timeout, just saying, get these guys off the floor over there on the bench and get something changed, because what's going on is pretty hard to watch.
I got to mute Roger. He says I agree with Todd. When Walton comes on, I hit mute.
Yeah, I hit the previous channel button just to get it off as fast as possible, because not only can I not stand to listen to him, I can't stand to watch him either. He always does that BS where they go out on a boat. He doesn't have a shirt on. It's just disgusting.
Rebounding leaders, Trace Jackson-Davis has 53. Brunk and Thompson are tied with 32. Smith, 28. But Smith leads offensive rebounds, like Jake said, with 15. Al Durham leading the team with points scored at 91. Trace Jackson-Davis right there behind him with 90 points. That's pretty good, because, we were expecting something from Trace Jackson-Davis, but I don't know that anybody could say they were expecting 3 double-doubles in his first 6 games and the way that he has played. He's playing above expectations right now.
No, there's no doubt. And those expectations were high. And, he's been the surprise. His game has transitioned from, the high school and AAU level to the college level seamlessly. And he looks just as comfortable out there right now as he did playing at Center Grove and on his AAU team. And, that's a great sign. The kid has poise. The kid doesn't ever look like he's out of control. And, he is definitely, like you said, he's playing above expectations. And that's a big thing to say, because the expectations were pretty darn high for him.
Tim asks, has John Mellencamp showed up for any games yet? No, but
Richard has.
I talked to his dad, Richard. As a matter of fact, I talked to him last night, and he was there with another good friend of mine, Tommy Zeller, Fuzzy Zeller's brother. So they were hanging out last night watching the game. They were there. I think Tommy was there at the last game too. But that's kind of funny.
Man, the parties at those guys' houses, I bet those are fun to go to.
Can you imagine if those walls could talk?
Nope.
My goodness gracious. Man, oh man, funny stuff.
What would you rather hear? What would you rather hear? The walls talk at Mellencamp's house, or the walls talk in Bob Knight's locker room?
Oh, without doubt, Bob Knight's locker room. It would be way more entertaining. Of course, we've heard some of it. We've heard a little bit of it.
Yeah.
Jake, you might have to pull that up one day. We may have to bust that in every now and then. Just bring back Todd some memories, make him feel comfortable, make you feel like home. When you go someplace, you want to bring your own recliner, some things of your own. We need to bring some of that in, Jake. So keep that handy.
Not the red recliner in Coach's locker room. We don't want to take that anywhere. Is that bad stuff happen on that chair?
I can only imagine. And the locker rooms, they're so much different. Can you imagine having locker rooms like they have today?
Nope.
A pool table in there, the lounge, you got the pool table, they got all kinds of stuff. It's just amazing.
We played a bad half one year in one of the early season games, and we got kicked out of the locker room for a week. We had to get dressed out in our cars. We weren't allowed in the locker room, and the managers weren't allowed to wash our practice uniforms. We had to take them home and wash them on our own, which I know, hey, every other kid's going to say, well, heck, we did our own laundry too. And I did my own laundry, but I generally didn't have to wash my uniform every night. So there was some stinky uniforms, I can tell you that.
That's hilarious. I mean, but those are the great old days where you can hear stories like that. You don't hear those kind of stories don't happen anymore. And some people are like, well, they shouldn't happen. Well, bull crap. That is some of the greatest stuff. I mean, the things that a lot of people can talk about in their athletics career, even high school stuff. It's just great stories that you don't get anymore today.
We got kicked out of Assembly Hall for a whole summer. We had to practice over at the U School.
The what? The youth school?
The U School, university school. It's like an elementary or something right over there off of 45.
Why don't you just go to Hyper?
No, like we had to organize this on our own, going over to play at the U School because we got kicked out of Assembly Hall the whole summer. Whole summer.
Why did you get kicked out for the whole summer?
We did something wrong. I don't know. You can't explain that, dude. I don't know.
That one seems counterproductive. That's just kind of funny.
We didn't get kicked out of the weight room, I can assure you that.
Yeah, but what was the weight room like back then?
Dungeon. We called it the dungeon. It was down in the doldrums under the old field house over there by
Gladstein,
attached to Assembly Hall.
Gladstein,
is that what it's called?
Yeah,
the track and field area.
Yeah. Can you imagine they used to play the basketball games in that thing?
No. Actually, my grandfather, I think I told you this, my grandfather played at IU, and he played in the Hyper.
I did not know your grandfather played at IU.
He did. He played in the Hyper building.
Did he play for IU?
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't know that, dude.
Yeah. His picture is on the wall. You know how they got the old pictures in Assembly Hall of a lot of the old teams and stuff like that? They've removed a lot of the real old pictures that were on there. Remember, they weren't the big pictures; they were the little 8.5 by 11 pictures, and he was on one of those. But I think they moved those to a different building. But he was there.
Wow! Did you ever get locked in a locker?
We didn't have. There were open lockers. We didn't. There would have been no way to lock you in it, like you were.
I'd have found a way.
That'd have been tough.
I'd have found a way to get it done.
It'd have been tough. We could have a whole show one day where I could just tell you stories about Coach Knight breaking crap around the.
Oh, we gotta spread that out, man.
Okay,
we got a lot of time, hopefully.
All right.
To milk that stuff.
If you just wanted me to estimate, I would say he broke in the neighborhood of $150,000 worth of video recorders.
Yeah, the one of my favorites is because that's when I was in school and I knew the guys, Pat Graham and all that. I think it was the loss to Iowa, maybe after you'd won 61 games in Assembly Hall, and they lost to Iowa like 62-60 or something like that. And you take a golf club to everything.
I believe that was when he disassembled the bathroom and took all the stalls down and. Somehow he removed the toilet from being attached to the wall and the floor. Like he was losing his mind, and there was some remodeling that had to be done after that one because all the stalls came down. I think the sink got dislodged. Like all the mirrors were broken and urinals took a beating. Like there was a lot of bad stuff that happened that day.
It's like a Leonard Skinner tour, man.
If only we had cell phones, smartphones then, we could have got a recording.
Oh, my gosh. Can you imagine? You imagine? Holy crap. No, you can't, because he wouldn't have lasted long, probably.
Yeah, one of those managers would have had the guts to video record some of that. I still to this day don't know which one had the guts to voice record that one that we always hear, but somebody had the guts to do it.
It's hilarious. I mean, it's just hilarious. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I'm sure it sounds hilarious. It wasn't that hilarious at the time.
Men's soccer, they got a big match coming up on Sunday as they'll take on UC Santa Barbara, the Gauchos, as they will move on. Indiana moves on to the third round of the NCAA tournament. That's going to be at Bill Armstrong Stadium. I don't know if they've announced the time yet. They hadn't yet. With the West Coast team, they may make that game a little later in the afternoon. Normally, the last game was at noon, but West Coast team, that would be 9 a.m. for them. So we'll see what they do with that.
Probably hoping for some cold weather for that, because that'll definitely take them out of their element.
Yeah, because let me tell you, Indiana's used to practicing in this crap. I was out there waiting for Coach Yeagley the other day after practice, and it went longer than we'd hoped. Once that sun went down, holy smokes, dude, it got cold, man. It was cold.
Yeah, that's why I played an indoor sport. I am a fair weather person.
I can't blame you. Hey, we got a lot more coming up here on the program. Up next, we've got a fan favorite, Chronic Hoosier. He's here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary. We're back with all that and more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
low rider.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat with Coy O'Leary here on this Tuesday, November 26th. Joined now by one of our absolute favorites. It wouldn't be a Chronic Tuesday without Chronic Hoosier, and he's here right now, man. How are you, sir?
I am doing well, my friend. Getting ready for Turkey Day here. It's officially Thanksgiving break in Bloomington, so kind of enjoying the brief reprise in the fall calendar here while everybody takes off, and we give thanks for everything we've enjoyed so far this year. So it's been a very good year indeed. I'm looking forward to it.
What's on the Chronic menu for Thanksgiving? We have a deep fried turkey anywhere?
You know, we stick pretty traditional around these parts, at least for Thanksgiving. We do have some vegetarians we take into account all over the family. It's usually Christmas dinner. I don't cook Thanksgiving. I allow other people to do that. Turkey's not really my thing. So we stick pretty traditional for that. For Christmas, we tend to bend a little bit weird, maybe some surf and turf, things like that.
Absolutely. Everyone's got to have a Boilermaker on Saturday, though, right?
I have a feeling there's going to be some shots. I don't tend to mix my potions. But I have a feeling there's going to be some cocktails flowing this week here all across the state. It's bucket week in Indiana, and this is one of those unique instances where there's really nothing at stake beyond the bucket. In years past, we've frequently seen one, if not both, of the teams competing for bowl eligibility. Obviously, Indiana's already got the bowl in the bag right now. Purdue's been mathematically eliminated from bowl eligibility, although I guess there's still the possibility with too few teams to fill all the slots, and then it comes down to APR. Without drilling too deep in that, let's just be content to say that Purdue's not playing anymore after this weekend, but they've got nothing to lose and a whole lot to spoil when they match up against Indiana here this Saturday.
Yeah, they would love nothing more than to take a little bit of joy out of Indiana's season with a win on their side of the ball, of course. But Indiana looking to maintain and get back that momentum that they had going into the bowl season. Had the press conference yesterday talking to a lot of the guys about that very thing, how important it was to get back on that winning side as they head into that bowl season. And that's exactly what they want to do. And I don't see that they should have any problem getting there. I mean, I'll be quite honest with you. Purdue's down to a third-string quarterback. I'm not sure they're going to have Rondale Moore. They do have Jeff Brom, and he's going to throw everything but the kitchen sink at him.
Yeah, that's the one thing that you've always got to look for in this type of situation especially. But you can say this on par any year with Purdue. That they're going to be pulling everything out of the closet. All the tricks are coming out of the sleeves. I think the big thing for Indiana right now, obviously with Stevie Scott's status unknown, it could present a great opportunity for the rest of the running backs to kind of get some reps, get some snaps, and maybe go out there and put some numbers up. But I do tend to agree with you. I think Indiana should, and I emphasize should, not have too much problems this weekend against Purdue. But that's the crazy thing about these rivalry games is you can take everything that's happened to date and just throw it out the window because there's just so much more at stake when you put that bucket on the line. Obviously, it's a pretty big deal for both of these teams. And when Purdue's got nothing left to play for, and they still hold the bucket, there's going to be a whole lot of incentive for them to hang on to it by any means possible. So Indiana certainly cannot allow to let their guard down this weekend. And they still have the chance to really improve their standing when it comes to exactly which bowl they're going to end up in, where they shake out at the end of the Big Ten pecking order at the end of the season. So hopefully Indiana can find a way to get it done here this weekend and get that bucket back down in Bloomington, man.
Absolutely. I think the best thing that they have going for them is a very seasoned quarterback in Peyton Ramsey, who he's not going to get rattled out there. He's going to be able to play up in West Lafayette without letting it bother him. And you're going to have Whop Philyor back. So I think that's one of the two biggest things going into that game. Indiana has a huge advantage there. Whop Philyor is just a spark plug that they were missing against Michigan, and it showed. You can tell, and that offense really changes without him in there.
No, absolutely. And, I think the big thing right now for Indiana, when you look at how they finished the back half of the season, played some really, really good football. You can basically go back to Connecticut and then all the way through that middle, that fat portion of the schedule. played really, really good football on both sides of the ball. And you got to get back on track, though, after the Michigan game, because for as competitive as they've been all season, I think what we saw last Saturday was a team that just didn't quite have the depth, that didn't quite have the talent to compete against an opponent like Michigan. And tip your cap to them. They played some really good football, and you kind of had the feeling that was coming. Obviously there's some hope that maybe they'd let their guard down a little bit looking ahead to Ohio State. But, if you're Tom Allen, if you're Indiana, you got to get that winning feeling back, because you've still got 9 wins on the table. If you can steal the bucket back, it's a big deal for Indiana to get to a bowl game. But I think everybody under the sun over there in the north end zone is going to tell you, you got to win a bowl game. That is a big, big, big check mark on Tom Allen's bucket list right now, and it would be great to finish the season 9 wins, first time in forever. Just really capitalize on all the momentum you were able to build throughout the course of the season, and then hopefully parlay that into some continued success on the recruiting trail. This is a really young team that's got a lot of potential for some future success, but that's the thing about momentum, man. It can be really fickle. You got to keep it going. And in this league, you're only as good as your last win. So need to get another win in the column, and let's just see where these guys are going to be come the holiday season.
Absolutely. And we'll talk about men's basketball in a minute. Of course, they were in action last night, but I want to get to the women first. Man, they are having a season. Now, they're about to get tested, but congratulations to them. They continue once again this week. Their highest ever ranking in the AP Top 25, up to number 17, just a spot up. But I watched them on Friday. They look pretty good down in Gainesville, taking on the Gators.
I'll tell you what, I think this is going to be one of those seasons where you're going to see a lot of records go out the window. Coach Morin's just got a special season cooking right now. And obviously they're going to get tested. They got 2 top 10 teams here coming up this week. This week. South Carolina, number 5, second-ranked Baylor, Washington State, Miami. They just got a murderer's row. They're on the road. It's not going to be it's going to be a while till they get back home in the friendly confines of Assembly Hall. So hopefully they can keep it going. I think what you're seeing, though, you talk about depth, you talk about talent, and, we like the men's team, probably even more so. There is just such an abundance of talent on the floor with this particular roster. You look any given night, and, you've got 5-6 players who could very easily be leading in the scoring column. They're just a really balanced, really deep team this year. They're sharing the ball really well, and as always with Coach Morin led teams, they're defending really, 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 really strong. So be real curious to see exactly where they fall at the end of the Thanksgiving break. 2 huge games here to close the week. Actually, they play 3 games in a row. With Washington State wrapping up on Saturday. So hopefully they can steal some W's, come back to Bloomington, and let's just see how high this team can go, because honestly, the sky's the limit right now for the women's Hoosiers.
Yeah, they're rolling, man, but they do have to get through that gauntlet of a schedule you mentioned. Men's soccer, this kind of just noticed, they could possibly be a week where Indiana vanquishes 2 different rivals within the same week after having dispatched Kentucky on the soccer field last Sunday, 3-0. They've got Purdue coming up on Saturday, but last Sunday on the pitch, man, they did a marvelous job. And you've got how about Victor Brazzera, a hat trick from a freshman, man, the poise that those freshmen are showing is just it's insane.
Yeah, it really, really is. This team, it's the expectation at Indiana that you come here to win championships, you come here to win conference title, tournament title, and then ultimately the national championship. And you look at how some programs constantly reload. There's not a whole lot of lulls. What Todd's done this season is just absolutely insane, replacing 10 starters, just all sorts of youth out there, and it's like they never missed a beat. And as you tend to expect with an Indiana soccer team, they get better as the season wears on, and they really round into their final form here once single elimination play starts. 5 consecutive shutouts. It's just really clicking on all cylinders right now. And, Kentucky gave them a heck of a test earlier this year. They just could not get organized. They couldn't get forward with the ball. Kentucky was a really, really sound team. And the way in which they were able to just dominate possession, really move the ball through Kentucky's defenses with ease. Just textbook Indiana soccer here. once tournament starts up. Todd had these guys so incredibly tuned up. It was a really clean match for the Hoosiers. They played really, really sound. Only had a couple of lapses on defense. But at the end of the day, Solitano was able to bag another clean sheet. And I don't think you can say enough about Victor Pizzera. That was a performance for the ages. Only the third time in program history you've had a hat trick recorded in the NC2A tournament. And that's not easy to do at Indiana soccer, to put yourself in that type of air, and to do it as a freshman, to do it under those circumstances against that particular opponent. You could just see him building in confidence leading up to his third and final goal. Just an absolute golazo from the outside corner of the box. Took one touch to the side and just let loose. These guys are they're going to be something to watch. Obviously they got UC Santa Barbara coming in this weekend in the effectively NCAA Sweet 16. It's going to be possibly their last chance to host, assuming if chalk holds out. If they win that game, they'd end up having to go on the road in the Elite Eight. But this is going to be a team, I think, it's got all sorts of potential to make it back to the College Cup for a third consecutive year here. So if you're in Bloomington this weekend, and the tryptophan doesn't have you completely laid out, go catch them live. This is going to be something that I don't know if we're going to get another chance to see them at home this year. But this is absolutely a special team that Todd's got put together, and I think the sky's the limit for them as well. But the biggest thing about it is this is in a tournament like this, in a game like soccer, can be so incredibly fickle. Having to reset them, having to get them refocused. There's going to be some adjustments in the tactics. And if anybody can do it, Todd Yeagley can. So they're going to enjoy their Tudor Room turkey. The team goes over to the Union every year. They enjoy a Thanksgiving dinner as a team. They invite families in there. It's a huge tradition for the soccer team. They sacrifice the family time and they make it program time. But they always find a way to kind of reset, refocus, and really get geared up for that next one. So I'm excited to see what they can do to Santa Barbara here.
Absolutely. And then, of course, last night on the hardwood, the Indiana Hoosiers took care of Louisiana Tech. A team coming in, I really thought that Indiana was going to get challenged. They did somewhat, but we knew that they like to cause turnovers. The first half, Indiana looked like they were going to pass that test with ease. And then the second half, Louisiana Tech made some adjustments, and they really started forcing some turnovers, tightened the game up a little bit. But overall, Indiana, with such a great start, shot 60-something% in the first half, just hitting shots, and Trace Jackson Davis, man, the job he's doing, getting to the free throw line and hitting his free throws, another double-double for that guy. He's killing it. What a start to his career.
No, unquestionably. I'd said it to a couple of friends earlier in the late in the first half into halftime. The toughest part about a game like that is keeping those guys focused. And you saw a little bit of a letdown as far as the ball movement, the defensive intensity to close the first half, but it was just so thoroughly dominating that first half of play. Hoosiers just having their way on both ends of the floor. After the fact, you look back at it, and obviously they not only won, they covered the 10.5-point spread. It was probably the best basketball we've seen them play this year, followed by probably some of the worst basketball. Yes. And even despite that, it was never really in doubt. They got it within, I think, 10 points there about midway through the second. And then Indiana just got into just dump it down and let the big guys work, found a way to get to the line. Just what seemed like almost every trip down the floor right now. Or at least last night in the second half. It wasn't necessarily the prettiest game to watch. The flow was really, really, really broken up by all those whistles. But at the end of the day, it was never really in doubt. And there's something to be said for a team in this particular position with that much youth and inexperience coming out there that, even when things are just completely sideways on them, they still found a way to basically kind of press the pause button, hold the score where it was, and just ride it out to the end. So you got to love it because you've got everything a coach could ask for on tape. Here's the superlative example of you guys doing what you're supposed to do, followed by all sorts of room to really have a good bitch fest with them. So, and Archie, obviously in the press conference afterwards, he didn't seem to be that tore up about it. He called a spade for what it was, and it was some pretty embarrassing basketball at the end, to be totally honest with you. But it was also one of those where it was never really in doubt, and it was all in all a fairly easy victory for the Hoosiers. So more than anything, want to see these guys get healthy. Got to get Rob back out there on the floor. I think that's going to be one of the big things to look into as the calendar turns here next week, and you get into December, and when the level of competition really starts to stiffen here. Is one thing this team can do. Obviously, they've got a whole lot of depth at the in the front court, but when you see some of the limitations in guard play, the turnovers really reared their head in the second half. Something Indiana's done a great job with so far this year. You see just how easily, though, that can come undone if they're not taking care of the ball. And I think it's going to be absolutely imperative to get Rob back, get him in his natural role again as a facilitator for this team, take some of that burden off the other guards, and let them do what they need to do, because you've got a team that's proven capable of getting the line almost at will this year, by really emphasizing post play and getting the ball inside. You got to feel good about that. Obviously, Trace Jackson Davis right now is just out of his mind. He's, I think, 6th in the nation right now in free throw rate. And then you look at his conversion level on top of that, just huge boon. That's pretty much your difference last night. All things considered, you look at Indiana's their ability to not just get to the free throw line, but to convert their 38 attempts, 28 points from the charity stripe. That's your difference in the ball game effectively. Only allowed 15 attempts from Louisiana Tech at the stripe. And that was one thing we said at the beginning of the season, for all the shooting woes, there's a shot that nobody's out there guarding that they've done really poorly at over the last couple of seasons. And we emphasized how important that was going to be. And I think you saw the perfect example of it last night. It's a whole lot easier game when you're knocking down your free throws, and it just lends itself to Indiana scoring a whole lot of unguarded points this season if they keep doing what they've been doing.
Absolutely. They're certainly looking like they're heading in the right direction. Getting a complete game, of course, is going to go a long way, and vanquishing people like Florida State and UConn when those come up very soon, because that's going to be a stern test for the Hoosiers in this early season before they get into Big Ten play, without doubt.
I think the biggest thing we've seen right now is, when the team's sharing the ball, when it's moving, when there's not a whole lot of dribbling, it's just really pretty basketball. For all the talks about, 3-point percentages and everything else, I think what we've seen thus far is this is a team that it's going to score a lot and at a really high rate whenever it shares the ball, whenever it keeps it moving, whenever there's not a whole lot of dribbling. And that often leads to improved shot selection. Making that extra pass, keeping the, reversing the ball. And I think we saw a great example in the second half. What happens when they kind of give up on some of that and they start dribbling it around and, the shot clock starts getting long and guys start playing a little bit of hero ball. It can completely undo everything they're trying to do offensively. So a lot of tape on that, good and bad last night, and look to see them get that corrected here. They basically got one more game to tune it up before there are no easy games left on the schedule for the remainder of the year. So this soft early portion of the schedule, hopefully doing what it was designed to do, giving these guys a chance to kind of get together and gel a little bit, get healthy, get everybody available, and let's just see what the ceiling is for these Hoosiers.
Absolutely. Karate Hoosier, we are thankful for you here at Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary. Thankful that you're on with us, and we hope you and your family have an absolutely wonderful holiday week here for Thanksgiving, brother.
Looking forward to it. Thanks to you guys for having me on, and happy holidays to everybody.
You betcha. Karate Hoosier joining us here on Indiana Sports Beat with Coyle Leary. Back with more right after this from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Ryan Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
All right, all you Hoosiers out there, make sure you listen to my main man when it's time to talk about Indiana sports. Jim Coyle. All right.
The men have arrived. This Kansas team, oh my gosh, they are like a volcano. They are like a waterfall that just goes right over everything. They are like a breaching whale that just jumps across your screen at indiscriminate times. What's your name again?
Let's get to the player that we want to talk about here.
The waterfalls that just keep coming down, they have no chance against Udoka, one of my favorite players
Love
in
that.
all the land.
What is not to love, man?
How
That
do
is
you love
great.
that?
That is quality.
That has
quality
nothing to do with
sports.
basketball.
Qualities. That's quality sports coverage right there.
I mean, did he talk about
cares?
UCLA and the Conference of Champions last night and
Who cares?
how they did against BYU? Did he talk about that?
Nobody cares.
I do. I'm a basketball fan. I'm not a volcano waterfall connoisseur.
I hope we get an onion volcano. Roger wants to know, ask Todd if Knight was ever on the team about too much dribbling. I think that's a reference to Archie Miller last night talking that they were doing just too much dribbling out there. I don't think that you guys seem to stick to the plan for the most part. I mean, it didn't seem like that. It wasn't that he would get upset about. I'm just thinking when things weren't executed correctly.
Oh, I mean, there's definitely a dribbling situation, and it just had to do with really moving the ball as much as anything. I mean, he loved ball movement, and when the ball was in one position for too long, it just no matter whether you were holding it or dribbling it, it didn't make a difference. It just needed to be moving, and I mean, dribbling the ball, you were never allowed to dribble towards the baseline. If you caught it like free throw line extended, if you dribbled it to the baseline, you better be shooting it. And so that's kind of a thing. You can go back and watch a lot of that stuff. But yeah, I mean, I definitely understood what Archie was saying when he talked about, they were just pounding it too much last night, because when that's happening, it's too much one-on-one. And their offense in the first half, I don't think we would have described as one-on-one. It was a lot of ball movement and getting up and down the floor. And I understood what he said in the second half when they were just pounding it too much.
How about the Pacers, man? They started the season 0-3, and they put together a couple of win streaks. They're currently on another 3-game winning streak. TJ Warren had 26 points last night against the Grizzlies. They're 10-6 now on the season. That's not bad for a team whose star player hadn't seen the court.
Yeah, incredible when you can see. I mean, you take away any team's best player, and to have a winning record, especially the way they started, without a doubt is. I mean, they've got to be feeling pretty good about their position. And, I think we saw last week Victor Oladipo is back doing full court drills and contact drills. So it shouldn't be long before he's on the court.
And how about the superstar Lamar Jackson? 5 touchdown passes against the Rams last night. They just destroy them. The Ravens destroyed LA 45-6. This dude is on another planet right now, man.
Yeah, it doesn't even make any sense. I mean, he's laughing at him.
He's toying with them.
Literally, he is laughing at them. Trying to chase him down and all that. I mean, I'm telling you that guy. You just hope he's fun to watch. Like, it's whether you root for him or not. I mean, that brand of football, to me, it's kind of fun to watch. It's almost like a hybrid between college football and the NFL, and it's just different. They're not used to it. Everybody's looking at it like it's an alien invasion right now, and it's a different brand of football. And barring injury, I don't see that guy stopping anytime soon. But you also got to factor into it. You take one wrong hit, or you cut one way, as much as he's running with the ball, those guys just in over history have proven, injury always seems to come up, and hope for his case and the Ravens fans' sake that doesn't happen. But those guys that are hitting him are big, gigantic guys, and he takes one wrong hit and it's going to be over.
Absolutely. I mean, we've seen it way too many times.
Yep.
Matter of fact, the guy who is his backup, RG3, can attest to that. But the one thing I'm going to say about Lamar Jackson, even back when he was at Louisville, that was the thing. He was so stinking elusive. He's like a snake when he goes through there. Even when people get a shot at him, they rarely get a shot at him. It's a glancing blow, maybe. He's got this freakish, uncanny ability to not get hit like most people can. It's weird.
You're right. And you know what? He's having the impact that I think a lot of people thought RG3 would have. I think this is exactly the kind of start to a career that I think people expected out of him. And injury just prevented that from happening. But you're right. There's just something different about Lamar Jackson. I mean, his ability to avoid the big hit it's incredible. I mean, you even watched, Aaron Donald and those guys last night. I mean, when they got him, it was kind of a lay down tackle. They were never getting the big hit on him. And if he's able to avoid that, I don't see where there's any stopping him. And that offense is just, I mean, they're making people look silly right now.
Absolutely. And it's a lot of people had kind of gotten to the point where they thought that those type of quarterbacks, the athletic, the running type, were not going to ever make it because they just kept failing for what you said. And it's true. I mean, that position is so important. You can't afford to have those guys getting hit, but Lamar's just a freak, man.
Yeah, he really is. And he's
and he can throw the hell out of the ball. He threw 5 touchdown passes. This is not some running thing. He threw for 5 touchdown passes.
He has the ability to stand in the pocket and make some good throws, and he's got that ability that when he's outside the pocket, he's, you don't want to say he's quite as good at it because Aaron Rodgers has done it for years, but he's kind of Aaron Rodgers-like, which on the run and a full-speed run to the sideline, he can throw that pass that just gets in between 2 defenders or catches right on the sideline. And I mean, he right now he has all the throws, and he obviously is easily the most elusive quarterback there is in the NFL.
And as crappy as he ended his stint at Louisville, Bobby Petrino may have been the best coach for Lamar to be under because he got him into that pocket. He forced him to not think run first and to think pass first. And he did a lot of that at Louisville, although he did a lot of running too. But that has really served him well because he can really crank that bean around the park, man.
Yeah, I mean, it's something special. I mean, when you can pick apart Bill Belichick's defense the way they did a few weeks ago, and when you can take a team like, with the defensive MVP and Aaron Donald on it, a two-time defensive MVP, I think, when you can make his defense absolutely look silly and laugh at him, that's you just have to sit back and enjoy watching it because, I mean, I can assure you, there's nothing about the Baltimore Ravens that I would root for on a general basis. But watching that team play, if you like watching football, it's as close to the college style of game, which I think everyone has said for years, which you just kind of said a second ago. It's as close to the college game as you can get, and it's fun to watch right now.
It certainly is. And speaking of football, college football, Indiana taking on Purdue Saturday, the bucket. I think Indiana gets the bucket back. As a matter of fact, Indiana could, even though this is a rival game and you got to throw the records out the window and all that stuff, I still think Indiana wins this game handily. They have a quality, solid, experienced quarterback in Peyton Ramsey who does not get rattled, and I don't think Purdue's defense is all that great anyway. Indiana's done a great job protecting the quarterback this year, although their line is dinged up, man, and that's going to make a difference because they're going to be without Matthew Bedford, who is in there because of the injury to Corey Cronk. So yet a third guy up, the next man up. But Indiana's offense is just so good. I think they should handle Purdue by at least a couple touchdowns.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's one of the things I was going to ask you. Like, is Whop Phillier going to be back?
He's expected to play. He's expected to play.
How about Freifogel? Is he going to be back?
You know what? I'm not sure about Freifogel or Stevie Scott because if they're not 100%, they're going to bank them guys for the bowl game and let them get healthy and get ready. Because to be honest with you, if you've got Whop back, you should be able to be without Ty Freifogel because they still have Donovan Hale, Nick Westbrook, and Peyton Hendershot and those guys, Bjornsson, the tight end. They still have so many targets to throw to, and Purdue's rush defense sucks. So you should be able to put Samson James in or Ronnie Walker, and either one of those guys could potentially go for 100.
Yeah, I mean, I'd feel a lot more confident about it if you knew injury-wise they were going to be closer to 100%. And that's, those are the games you go on the road. I mean, you don't have some of your big playmakers. Purdue's the first team that'll tell you, you deal with injuries every year, and, they're dealing with third string quarterback. And is Moore playing for them now, or is he out for the season?
He's not officially out for the season, and he'll probably be a game time decision whether he plays this game. And I don't know the thinking there because
why would you?
It's it's an important game for them, but there's nothing for them to gain. They're not going to be bowl eligible, and so you only risk the potential of injuring him again. So if I had to guess, I'm going to say that he sits.
Yeah, I mean,
unless he's 100% healthy.
Yeah, right. I mean, that's just it's just a lot of those questions won't be answered until game time when you see who's suited up out there, but. On paper, it certainly looks like Indiana should come out and win this football game pretty easily. But you know how this game is. It's the bucket game, and it never seems to go according to plan.
Dude, we almost did it again. We forgot to go over our picks on Monday that we'd picked on Friday.
Well, dude, let's do it.
Yeah. All right, Texas and Baylor. Texas was +6. You and I both took Texas in that game over Baylor.
Yeah.
Baylor won 24-10. There's a loss.
There's a loss.
We both took Ohio State in the over. They won 28-17. There's a loss.
That's a loss.
Navy was 3.5-point favorite.
We took it.
We won that. They beat SMU 35-28. So we got us a win there. Here's a split. You took Nebraska at -6. And you won that. I took Maryland, and they got absolutely crushed.
It was like 54-0 or something ridiculous.
It was 54-7, I think, was the score.
Yeah.
Then we both took to Missouri. They were -4. Tennessee
Missouri
won that game. Yes, Tennessee won that game 24-20. It was a push, so we got a push. And then, so at the end of all that, you were -1, I'm -2.
Huh. I remember my record being better than that.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do. Well, we'll do it again this week and see.
All right.
Let's start keeping track of that.
We'll have to throw some college basketball games in there.
Well, you know what?
Put it in my wheelhouse.
You pick them, send them to me.
Put it in my wheelhouse a little bit more.
Oh, you select the games this week. This week is your selections, and
All right. I'll give you some. You can get your money back from all the money your wife spends shopping on Friday. I'll give you some Black Friday gold that you could take to the bank.
There you go, Black Friday gold.
German American Bank.
That'll work. They're as good as any, man. They're in Jasper.
They're legit.
Too legit to quit. Let's see what else we got going.
Don't start rapping, please. You already pissed me off with the whole Bill Walton love affair you got going. Don't piss
Every
me
time
off
he
with
says
the
Bill
stuff
Walton,
rapping.
just start playing it, Jake. Just don't even hesitate. Just start playing Bill Walton. Every time he mentions his name, just play Bill
This
Walton.
Kansas team, oh my gosh, they are like a volcano. They are like a waterfall that just goes right over everything. They are like a breaching
The
whale
soothing
that just
sounds
jumps
of Bill
across your
Walton.
screen.
You know, you should have an alarm clock. So at night, or not alarm clock. You know how people have those ocean machines or water sound machines? You should have one that has Bill Walton just talking to you.
I would punt that thing out the window so fast. I mean, explain to me what is it?
That's what I'm getting. That's what I'm gonna get you for Christmas.
You can generally put an analogy together what someone means. What's it mean when you're describing a basketball team as a waterfall that just goes over everything?
It's over your head.
What's that
man.
mean? What's that mean?
See that if
It's a
we have to
metaphor.
explain it to you, that means you don't get it. And
The
it's
level of weed that dude has smoked has just fried any ability for him
creativity.
to make it to say a statement about a basketball game that makes sense to anyone other than him.
Ultimate creativity. It's so creative. His mind is free. He's free to express himself. He's free to express himself in a manner that
Both brain cells he has left are completely free.
Oh man, it has been an absolute blast. Tom Allen talked to us yesterday. Let's hear what Tom Allen had to say before we get out of here. Stuck that one in on Jake.
A couple things.
Sorry,
about,
Jake.
Saturday, chance to go back and watch film just once again. Congratulations to Michigan and Coach Harbaugh and their staff. They're playing really good ball right now, and they did a good job of executing. And they're playing the best I've seen them play throughout the season here, late in the season. So that's what you want to do. That's what we want to do. So we didn't spend a lot of time on the game. We wanted to correct mistakes, address those issues, and then move on to the most important task at hand, which is get ready for Purdue Boilermakers in our bucket game. So, but do want to wrap up with some guys that I thought did a great job during the week. Our scouts that just give so much to us, work so hard. Defensive scouts of the week, Madison Norris, Robert Tolbert, two guys that just work really hard every single day and did a great job last week. Offensive scout of the week, Zach Merrill, played quarterback and just gave us a great look, great energy, focus, and keeping those guys at a good tempo. And then special team scout of the week, Davion Irvin Poindexter. So.
There's Tom Allen, Indiana's football coach, just going over last week's stuff. We'll have more for him later in the week. I saw that you did another deal with the Hoosier Hysterics dudes. You just love to hear yourself talk, don't you?
I have said that from the beginning. I mean, I was born for this job because I love to hear what Todd Leary has to say. And man, if you guys only knew,
there's no short of that. I got news for you.
On my drives, I just put myself on the radio and just listen to myself talk. I mean, it's just when you spit the kind of knowledge I've got, I mean, you want to hear it yourself. So yeah.
Are you available on iTunes yet?
I'm gonna have my own channel here coming out before long. It's just gonna be me talking to myself. I'm gonna ask myself questions that I know
Todd
the answer
Leary
to.
on Sirius. Todd
Leary. Yeah. Todd Leary talks to Todd Leary.
Todd Leary on Todd Leary. What makes Todd tick?
You know what topic we won't have? What dumbass statement did Bill Walton make today? That will not be a topic.
That will be your intro music. It'll be your first guest.
He would not. He would not be my first, last, middle. He would not ever be a guest.
You better hope I can't find Bill's number
He could
again.
beg to get on my show, and there isn't a chance in hell I'd interview him.
I had Bill's number. I worked with him at CBS, and I don't.
Name
I've
dropper.
lost it. I've lost it, and I wish to God I can find it again.
Yeah,
because if I do, it's over. He's going to be on here, and that would be hilarious.
If he's on here, I can assure you, I'm making this statement on the air. If he is on here, I will not back down from what I'm saying. So it'll be an embarrassing conversation for all of us.
For you?
No, for all of us.
Bill, he doesn't care.
I will not back down.
Todd,
I'll ask him.
Todd, you need to relax and enjoy the life. Smell the roses, Todd.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The waterfalls. I feel like the waterfalls coming down on top of us. What? This team is like a volcano. What? What are you talking about? This guy's just nuts.
It's a metaphor.
Two T's texted into the show. I'd rather hear Bill Walton over Dan Dockage. He needs a Todd Leary bobblehead.
Not a chance in the world. Not a chance in the world. Dan Dockage understands basketball, and when he's talking about a basketball game, he uses basketball analogies. He doesn't describe volcanoes and stupid waterfalls. And
that
crap
wasn't
like
me that said that. I was reading the text.
Right.
Beware of this game. IU struggled with covering the passing game. Purdue will throw the ball all over the field on IU. That's in from Joker on the football game coming up. You know what? I just don't think that they have the weapon. Indiana has faced Ohio State, Penn State, Michigan State, Michigan, and
you just listed all their losses.
Exactly, but my point is those offenses are far superior than what Purdue has. Purdue just does not have the horses. Anything that Purdue does is going to have to be through scheming, and Jeff Brom, he's very good at that. But they don't have the personnel. They don't have the horses. And there's absolutely no way Indiana should lose this game. And it would be a monumental upset. Upset.
Yeah, it should come down to the fact that Indiana has a lot to play for. And if they don't go out and play that way, I'd be surprised. And I'm pretty sure Tom Allen's got them understanding that. And on the flip side of that, Purdue doesn't have anything to play for other than the bucket. And I guess that's something for them to look at, but there's just a lot more on the line for Indiana.
Absolutely. We'll get closer to that as we head down the stretch in this Thanksgiving week. Tomorrow's the big Wednesday, man. Wednesday night, that's the night everybody goes out. All the young kids, all the kids, they're out and about on Wednesday night because nobody has to work on Thursday morning and everybody's just out killing it. Not me, not us. We'll be hard at work studying, I'm sure.
I have no point of reference when it comes to that. I'll be in bed at 9:15, the same as I always am.
All tucked in.
Yep. Except for last night, I didn't get home till like 2:30.
Yeah, that's a rough one. Well, wait till the Florida State game, my friend.
I know it. I'm gonna be spend the night at the Graduate on that one. I can assure you that.
There you go. Looking forward to it being back tomorrow. Appreciate everybody on the program today. Of course, our good friend Nick Baumgart was on. Our Chronic Hoosier would not be a Chronic Tuesday without Chronic Hoosier with us as well. Plenty to talk about. We'll be back tomorrow. Of course, Matt Weaver will be with us, and we'll see what else we can scare up as we head closer and closer to Turkey Day on Thursday. Appreciate your time, my friend, the Todd Father.
Oh, shoot, my pleasure. I love it.
Thanks to Jake keeping us on the track, not letting us wreck too bad today. It's always good to get through unscathed. Make sure you're back with us tomorrow. We'll be back here, same bat time, same bat channel. For Todd Leary, I'm Jim Coyle, and I will see you on radio.